Hey there, and welcome to the userexperience.org podcast, where I chat with the people creating the products that shape the world. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, Leia.
Hi,
How's it going?
it's going so great. Yeah, thank you for inviting me to the podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. So just for context, this is Leia, and we've just spent the last, I think, half an hour to an hour here setting up our own impromptu podcast studio. How was that experience for you?
Well, right now, very interesting about the little details of the cameras and the angles and how we're going to angle it.
Cool. Yeah, and I think you mentioned something about these balls reminding you of like childhood or something, or childhood.
I work in the mental health industry, the mental health space. And basically, a concept is that how do you materialize, that we talk about this, how do you materialize your emotions. And for example, anxiety for me, how I used to describe it was to say that they were like balls of energy, things that are really heavy a lot, like almost like weights, like that. So this is a good example of something that you need to just let go of, throw, whatever.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to let go of this at the end of this podcast. Before we dive in, what I always like to do is just have the person introduce themselves, briefly like what their name is, who they are, and what they're working on. So yeah, who are you and what are you working on?
I am Leia. Once again, I am an AI founder, and we are building Therapy 4.0. What we are doing is creating AI avatars, the younger version of yourself. So you can talk with your inner child. And this with the purpose of giving people the technology that they need to travel back in time, release all of those negative emotions that they stored in the past, and to make peace with the bad childhood memories that they had. So AI for mental health.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. And I'd love to dive in more into the origin story of that. Before we do that, I'm just curious, like, what's your origin story?
Well, I currently go to Berkeley. I am a computer science and economics rising senior. And interesting origin story. I grew up in Lima, in Peru, in South America. And my family is originally from Spain as well. And when growing up, I remember I was a very curious girl who just wanted to know everything about the world around her. So I constantly asked questions, and I was very passionate about math and the science. My family, my parents always encouraged me to just chase my dreams and to always ask questions, to be bold, to be confident, because I remember my nature back then was to being a little bit more introverted. Being extroverted is a skill that I literally learned through acting and theater classes. So that really helped me a lot to just like have better social relationships. And yeah, so that, and every year I was a valedictorian in my school. Also, the very reason of why I'm creating what I am doing as well is because not everything was perfect in my childhood as well. Because I used to feel very like I used to feel a little like different to some people in my family, some people in my school even. All of that. Sometimes I just wanted to isolate myself, and just in there reflecting and I don't know, like reading books or like playing with my siblings or something like that. So those memories and those things that I used to do really.
Sorry about that. But yeah, so you were talking about your childhood, and you also mentioned that you're building an AI where you can talk to your inner child or your previous child. So I guess what I'm curious to hear is what if you could talk to your inner child or your past child. So now I'm actually confused. So the idea is to talk to your inner child, which is kind of the same as who you were before, right?
So thanks for bringing this up, actually.
Yeah.
So the definition of an inner child is the version of you who have the memories, the relationships, the good and bad thoughts, the behaviors, and the environment where you grew up as well. So in the same way as we are right now, some years in the future, we're going to remember how we were right now. And in the future, our future selves will probably be different, more evolved, more mature, more conscious. And in the same way, we can look in the past and say that, okay, this was me when I was growing up. And these are the memories of the past that led me to be who I am now. So it's like having these two different versions of the past and present. And the inner child basically is the version of you of the past. And also children are, according to like neuroscience and that, and the doctors like between the ages of 0 to 13 years old. And then teenagers are from 13 to 18 years old. And then young adults go from like the ages and forward.
Yeah, my plan is to stay being a young adult. I'm quickly going to make sure this is still adjusted properly, and we'll edit that out, of course. So now that you've explained like what an inner child is, I'm just curious to hear what would you say to your inner child?
Yeah, so that's a very good question.
And actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, I realize I said it from a perspective of saying, where it's like very one direction or maybe condescending. And I guess maybe I'm wondering, what would you also ask your inner child?
I have two stories that I can share. The first one is that the most powerful moment that I have with my inner child was when I remember a specific memory in my childhood where I felt very, very, very bad with myself. And what I did, I remembered that memory in a very immersive way. And this is precisely the very therapy design that we have for what we are building. So what I did was to pick the emotion that I was feeling and immerse myself in that moment in my childhood when I felt that specific emotion. And I started to describe the place, the time, the people around me, the thoughts, the feelings. And once I did that, I felt like I was that version again because all of those triggers just brought up again. And I started to cry a lot, and just to repeat that. And then that imagination exercise was what opened me up to this new world of that inner child. It's still inside of you. You know that when you cry, it's because you haven't healed yet. So crying is very important, and crying is actually the bridge between the pain and the healing that you have. So
What do you say?
It's been like that.
What do you say to people who have gone through something traumatic and have gone through periods of intense grief and depression? Their only way out of that was to like stuff it away or push it away and then just focus on like going all out on work or going all out on something else. Because I've like people in my life, that sometimes they do that, and they're afraid of going back to that pain and that inner child. And just like bringing it all up. And I guess it's like Pandora's box. Like you don't know what's going to happen when you open it. Are there times where you shouldn't open it, or can you open it and like peek into it? Or I'm just curious to hear about your thoughts about that.
Yeah, so I can put an example with one of these pillows. So the way how I see it is that if you remember the first time ever in your life, ever, when you experienced, let's say, anxiety. So you started to feel that your heart was racing, that you started to have very negative thoughts, and you isolated yourself perhaps because you didn't want to like let the people around you that you were like feeling that with yourself. That was the seed in your life that planted a negative tree. So once you had that seed moment, that seed started to grow as you were growing up, when you experienced similar situations again and again, because it's the way how your body learns how to survive. So it's like an algorithm, very much. So every time you encounter similar situations to that very first moment, you repeated the same pattern, and you repeated the same again and again in order to avoid those feelings. But that was like a tree that was growing inside of you, and like this ball, it started like a seed. But every time you encounter similar experiences, it was growing more and more. So the problem with this Pandora box that we were talking about is that the longer you wait, the harder it is to cut that tree, right? Because it's gonna get stronger and stronger, and it's gonna become a more like harder, stronger pattern in your brain. Like
So that kind of goes against the idea of like time heals all wounds, right?
Yeah, because it's that, I think that crying is the thing that heals our wounds. And there's a beautiful phrase in this theory. It's like a philosophy theory that's called Kabbalah. And what they say is that pain as the pain that we experience every day, or the very heavy pain that we can carry from a lot of years, has an intelligence. So the intelligence of pain is that it's like a shell where it's a shell that contains the light. And the only way to free the light is to go through the hard shell. So there is no way to go around the pain or just like to play with it, but you need to go through the natural process of the body to release the pain is to cry. So crying is not weakness, but it's the very evolutionary process of how we release negative emotions. And also like neuroscience research supports this, that you can see how the brain waves in the brain start to go slower after you cry. So you relax better and better. And the next time you experience a similar situation that was the triggering situation, it's, you know, that it's just so much better. And you understand the why behind your behaviors as well. Yeah.
I actually cried a lot this weekend.
What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I can't, obviously, I don't want to go into details about the specifics.
So,
But I've been going through a hard time with relationships. And luckily I was there with two of my good friends, new friends. And they like were able to give this safe space to like, you know, probe with me and ask questions and just kind of allow me to enter that state. Because I think crying doesn't come naturally to everyone. There's people that don't cry at all. Luckily, I'm able to cry. That brings me to my question kind of. I was also listening to a podcast where there's this guy and he's like hasn't cried in like 20 years. And then they actually tried to get him to cry and they end up getting him to cry. Like, I mean, not doing anything bad to him, but just like telling him stories and stuff. I guess my question is like, how, like, is crying really necessary? And if so, how do you get someone who thinks they can't cry to cry?
yeah, so I also used to be that type of person who didn't cry because actually before this hypnosis, this meditation that I practiced, the one that I was talking about encountering with my inner child. Before that, I remember that the last time I cried very, very hard, you know, that cry when you're like, your breath
sobbing?
is just like, yeah, you're sobbing and that. That's the powerful cry. So before I experienced this meditation, the last time I cried like that was when I was 13 years old. So it was like 7 years of not crying. Because I was also like, but why am I gonna cry? It's useless. Like, who's gonna help me? Like, what's the point? But the point that now I realize is that you remember when you were born, and when you were born, you literally came to this world crying. So that is a very powerful insight to just understand that the nature of a baby, when you were born literally, was to cry. And that's the way how you say, hey, I'm alive. So it's, once you understand that, you can reframe it and you can change that perspective around that. And about your question of if it's really necessary or not, I believe it's really necessary. But for someone who hasn't cried for like 20 years, definitely can take more time as well. And like crying is the natural way how the body releases those emotions.
Yeah, just to quickly react on that, I heard that like sometimes babies will come out of the womb not crying, but also not breathing. And then the doctor will actually spank them to get them to cry.
Yeah.
And then start breathing. So I guess crying is like, yeah, how you become alive.
No, it's fascinating. For sure it does.
Yeah, then I guess looking more into like the present day, I think we're also, I think we're still okay on time a little bit. Yeah, I'm just curious to hear a little bit more about what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Is there a name to this or is it completely still stealth?
Okay, I can, we're on stealth right now, and it's because we really want to bring something truly innovative to the market. The mental health market is expected to be around 300 billion by 2030. And that's a very good number as well, for sure. And the opportunities there is growing more and more. The 3 use cases of ChatGPT just in 2025 are people using ChatGPT as an AI companion, an AI therapist, someone who's not gonna judge them. The opportunity is massive, and I believe that everyone is building some sort of AI avatar, AI for AF therapies and all of that. And what we're doing is something that is very simple but very innovative at the same time. And it's the power of this is that we really want to do something that has the best quality that the market has ever seen for people to truly heal and to truly understand what's going on with themselves. And I am a very spiritual person as well. And I have practiced many types of meditation, hypnosis.
I want to quickly react. When you said that, you actually held your necklace for a second. I don't know if you saw that.
Here. Yes. This is Mother Mary.
Cool. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
Also, your mic is being covered right now. There you go. Perfect.
All right.
And yeah, the necklace is on top of the mic as well. And then last thing, if you do want to look at a camera, I would suggest that camera, if you want to look at one. Okay. So you said you were a very spiritual person?
Yes.
Yeah. In what way?
I've been practicing many spiritual meditations and hypnosis, psychic abilities classes that I've been learning from as well. I believe that we all are spiritual beings as well. And the good thing is that once you start to notice that your spirit is your energy and you can adjust your energy and you can really understand who are you, your body. It's just fascinating to discover that inside of you, but also beyond you, there is an infinite house of love, of abundance, of consciousness. It's truly beautiful to understand consciousness in that way because also I was learning a little about the hard problem of consciousness and how philosophists and physicists. I also I come from a physics background as well. I used to do international physics Olympiads and physics research. I remember I used to have those questions as well about like.
Do you believe in free will?
That is something that I've been changing my opinions. Like I've been evolving, shaping my opinion about. And so far, I believe that more than free will, we have different levels of feeling free according to our level of consciousness. So if you think of a person who has spent their last 30 years inside a jail, do you think that person is free?
Well, they have free will, but they're not free. They can choose to stand on one side of the room or the other side of the room. But yeah, I guess it's very limited to the extent to what they can choose things, I guess.
Totally. But what if that person
now,
have a better consciousness?
So now I'm thinking there might be people that are in jail that are freer than people that are outside of jail, in the sense that, you know, someone who's like outside of jail and like has a 9 to 5 and does certain things, but has a very locked mentality and isn't fully conscious of their own inner working, and is just like running away from going through the pattern of that 6 or 7, 8-year-old child inside of them. In that sense, I would say that the more enlightened person in jail, who's more aware and in control of their own thoughts, is freer than someone outside. I don't want to like, you know.
It feels like free will is a number that you can categorize.
But I also want to make sure, like, a disclaimer that I don't want to say people in jail are free. I don't know.
For sure. No, yeah, there's not an absolute truth.
Yeah.
Because perspective matters a lot. Right?
Yeah.
And what your perception is. And every truth that we have is also subjective. And we just invent tools through science and through measuring, through observation, to say that things are like real. This is real.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'd love to dive into the philosophy. I have a couple more specific questions.
Yep.
So, you know, talking to your inner child is intense. Like, you're going through hard things. You're going through, you know, this ball of trauma. How are you guys making sure that that experience for the users is something that, struggling to articulate exactly, but how do you make sure that experience is smooth or at least healthy? Because you're allowing someone to transition through one of the hardest periods of their life. How are you making sure that you're doing that in the best way, humanely, in a human way?
Yeah. So that's the user experience that we're crafting right now.
Right.
So far, we want to make it feel as realistic as possible. The thing is that I don't personally believe that AI will reach a point to have a soul. Having a therapist, very, very qualified therapist who knows about the spiritual side of us and who's like very integral with their work. It's going to be essential in the first session when we onboard our users. So that's how we're doing it first. It's going to be a combination of listening to the best therapist in the world in front of you, but also having AI to support
Could you make sure your hair is just behind your, yeah, there you go. I don't mean to interrupt, but I also want to make sure people can hear the message you're trying to get across.
Okay, yes. So like this all the time.
Do you have a hairband by any chance?
Yes.
Could you wear that?
I forgot it.
Ellen, do you have anything that resembles a hairband? I have this, no? Or one side.
I think the goal is to have this like free. No, it's gonna work.
Okay. All right, so I'll bring you back. I asked you, how do you make sure it's a good user experience?
Yeah.
And then you mentioned people.
And so I believe that the best way to make it as humanistic as possible is to have an onboarding process with a therapist that creates trust with the user at first. And the beautiful thing is going to be that we are also going to design our avatar, our AI model, to be super realistic as well. But the job is also going to be done by the user's perception. Because imagine that you have a picture of your younger self, of you when you were a child. And it's just a picture, right? It's just a photograph. But you still remember, like, yeah, I remember I used to wear these clothes. And, oh yeah, I remember this place. And that's the power of a picture. And it's just a picture. It's just a piece of technology that we have created to make us feel nostalgic, perhaps, to capture moments of the past. And in the same way, I believe that AI and having an AI avatar of your inner child, it's gonna take imagination for you to feel that nostalgia, that those feelings of, yeah, I used to talk like that to myself. Yeah, I used to I feel like that. That's so true. So once to make the user experience smoother and to create more trust is to have those two things about the talking with a certified therapist and having the AI avatar of your younger self, so you can talk with them and have the therapy sessions and have very cathartic moments.
Yeah, wow. While you were talking, I was picturing what would it look like for me to actually be talking to, like, either through video or however you want to do it, to like 12-year-old or 13-year-old me. It's intense.
Do you remember parts of your childhood?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone, I've gone through some stuff. I had an accident when I was like 17 or 17. And yeah, I didn't know if I was going to get over that. Yeah. And sometimes I guess the fear gets re-triggered, you know, like, oh, am I going to get over this obstacle and survive? And then what is nice is I have like that feeling, and I've already had that feeling before, and I know that I survived. So in that sense, now I'm able to feel that feeling, but then also know and feel that it's going to go away. Whereas the first time I had it, I didn't know that.
Do you feel like your body learned to survive through situations similar to those as well?
So I don't know if it's body. I mean, I know you were talking earlier before we started recording about body-mind connection. I think the body is still very scared and still feels like, you know, the heart rate and the stuff like that. And I think it's like the logical part of my brain that like calms down
the thoughts.
Yeah.
So that's it's so good that you mentioned your own experience as well, because there's so many bad things that humanity has done as well: wars, hunger, like really very bad situations that some people have need to face. And I believe what's probably one of the worst feelings is to feel that you're going through something very bad and there's no one you can reach out to.
Yeah.
There's no one you can tell that. I believe that that's where the trauma starts. Because even if you go through something very painful, if you have someone there who can really listen to you and make you feel seen and make you feel protected, make you feel that love, that everything's going to be all right,
do you think
you'll probably go through that in a better.
Do you think AI, I mean, I know you're doing that basic, like to a certain extent. Do you think AI can be a part of that or can help with that? Because and I'm asking this is like a loaded question because I've actually personally like explored what would it be like to talk to AI like ChatGPT or Sesame and just like have it listen to me. And to a certain extent, actually it works. Like it helps me be able to feel less afraid of exploring myself, and then just like having something that will prompt me back and ask me those questions lets me, just explore it. And also what's nice about it for me is like articulating things, whether it's through an AI or through my journal, there's a sense of progression and movement. Whereas if I don't do it and I don't externalize it, it's stuck in my head and it ends up being like a circle or like, a loop. So I don't really have a question. Well, I guess the question is like, can you talk to an AI and have it be like a human? Does that make sense?
The beautiful thing about AI is that it's a technology that's a large language model. And I believe it's the best journal, the best digital journal that we can have in the sense of, let's say that you have some feelings that you're dealing with, right? And you can journal to your AI, to ChatGPT, for example, and you start to talk like, dear, how you call ChatGPT, dear friend, whatever. This is the situation that I'm going through, and this is making me feel like that and like this. What I usually do is X, but I know that I should do Y. And I really want to change, and I don't know the steps to this, but I really, I'm committed to my own growth. And once you say that, it's like writing in a journal, but because it's digital, you're gonna get a series of words because that's how the large language model works with vectors and with the parameters that it has. You're gonna get a series of words that capture the pattern of what you just said and answer something that makes sense to use. So also read what the AI is going to try to do is to read the emotion behind it. If it is sadness, is it guilty, like feelings of guiltiness? What is it?
So you're saying the AI can help you decipher the emotions behind it?
That's how I found that it has been very, very helpful as a digital journal and as a technology that gives you words and gives you another perspective to tackle those emotions. But it's definitely a very great tool for introspection as well. And the reason why I say that it's like a journal is because if you take a notebook and you start to write down your feelings and how you're feeling as well, you're going to have those feelings there and you probably are going to feel better as well because you are seeing your problems written down and your brain's going to naturally start to find solutions to what you're feeling and that. And in a similar way, AI is like having a digital version of that journal that's smarter because once you write it, you get an answer as well. And you can shape how you want your answer to be. So you can even ask, imagine you are Sigmund Freud and I want to hear your advice about this specific situation in my life. Imagine you are Carl Jung or like someone who you admire even. So that's the beauty of how the large language models have been able to capture all of this data that we've had in the internet, books and all of that big data and how you prompt it. So yeah, do you feel like if you start to use AI in that way to get advice to just like really like just journal?
Yeah, so this is a conversation I enjoy having, specifically with one friend of mine called Austin. So shout out to Austin. But what I've started doing is I actually journal, like I try to journal every day. And I uploaded all of that into Notebook LM and had it make a podcast about it. So then two people were like, oh, this is interesting, on this day, Oliver felt like that. And like we noticed a theme where he's tackling relationships and stuff like that. So it was just a very interesting way for me to explore myself. And I think also now with ChatGPT, where it has memories, right, and is able to like remember everything that you've talked to it about, I will sometimes ask ChatGPT like, hey, how have I changed over the last couple months, or like, how do you see me, differently, or what's going on? And it's just a nice mirror into my own inner psyche.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'd love to talk more about that. I think we are wrapping up on time. Do you have any other things that you'd like to quickly mention or drop, or maybe like a call to action that you have?
Yeah, of
Anything like that?
course. So we are, I invite every person who's listening to the interview to follow me on LinkedIn and to connect there, our website with a wait list and start to try some demos with early users as well, who are very, very committed to overcoming their anxiety, their depression, PTSD, their mental health challenges. And so my LinkedIn is Leia Chavarria-Davila, which it's gonna show up somewhere there.
Yeah.
And I really want to emphasize that the reason why I'm creating this is precisely to find a solution that's gonna be lasting. Because I feel that the problem with the mental health industry right now is that there is an over dependence on medication. And especially here in the States, there are so many millions of people who depend on, if I'm feeling this feeling, I'm gonna get this pill.
Yeah.
And it's just like they have pills for everything. As we were talking at the beginning, feeling the pain and sitting with the pain, just like commanding your body to say, stop the medication, let's feel the pain. It's gonna be so much useful to go through that spike in pain, let it go, and then feel the calmness afterwards. Because the problem with the medication is that every time you numb the pain, you're delaying
And the
the thing, and the tree just grows and grows. It's just harder to cut. So the faster you acknowledge the problem and you say, you know what, I'm just gonna let myself cry. I'm just gonna be aware of this without numbing the pain, without just pushing it away. Just face the problem. And in the same way, we're talking about the shell, you need to go through the shell to free that healing. So once you go through that 1 minute of pain, or some very, very short term of pain, finally able to have a lasting solution. And I can guarantee you that it's something that it's really going to bring a lot of peace in the long term. So that's precisely what we're building. And this is an absolute different approach to what therapists and psychiatrists have been doing. And yeah, so I know that many people like you are going to get the benefits of this.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to try it out and share it with my friends. Thanks for doing what you're doing, and thanks for being on and for sharing your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Yeah, once again, I invite you to connect on LinkedIn and we can chat there as well.
Awesome. Cool. That was really good. Well, that wraps up this episode. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a review and share the podcast. I'd love to hear what you thought. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest, send an email to podcast@userexperience.org. And for more resources, make sure to check out userexperience.org.